full, let me straight to the brim. Alright, yeah.
Welcome back to the YouTube channel, guys. It's Jay Ayyo, and so today we are going to be looking at the island of Jamaica. So the island of Jamaica is having local elections. That will be happening on the 26th of February. That's super exciting. They haven't had elections since 2016 for local elections. So now that time has come up. Now local elections are primarily like what you'd have like a mayor type of campaign district or riding type of area, just so that we catch everyone up. Now there are two political parties, the PNP and the JLP. The PNP is the People's National Party and the JLP is the Jamaica Liberal Party. Now the PNP was started in 1938 by the Most Honorable Norman Manley. And the JLP was started by the Jamaica Liberal. Well, the JLP was started by Sir Alexander Bustamante. Now, two of those individuals are cousins. The JLP used to be a part of the PNP, but they broke off, and JLP started their party in 1948. Now, before I go any further, it is important to note that since the inception of Jamaica, which was 1962, politically that is where everyone got the right to vote and do other things, those two parties still have existed throughout then and have come up through the years. I will let history judge how those parties behaved during the variety of election cycles that have happened in Jamaica. So now moving on, there are 63 constituencies. In those 63 constituencies, there are 228 electoral districts. That's how I break it down. So you have the local government, which handles more like regional stuff within the country, like a parish and stuff like that. There's like 14 parishes. And then the central government, which comprises of the 63 seats, that's more like the federal, what you'd call the federal government, more or less. Now, it should be noted that the current leaders of the parties now, so JLP, it's the Honorable Andrew Holness. For the PNP, it is Mark Golding. Now, Andrew Holness has been in what you would say leading the country since about 2016. Mark Golding is new. He's been around, but he's been leading, I guess, things since 2020 is so I'd say like that. Depending on who will win, I'm not sure, but how it's usually done in Jamaica is that, you know, campaigning has started. Both parties have released their manifesto. The Jamaican Labour Party has released their manifesto. The PNP has released their manifestos. It should be noted that both parties have a lot of issues in general, just as how they manage their parties in terms of, you know, objectives that they should have done, should have completed. It's a lot of back and forth that's going on. Voter interest is really low. The younger people aren't really that interested, just because of how successive governments have behaved in the past and continue to behave in the past, where it's more like, you know who you know gets in, whereas it's people aren't seeing the intrinsic value as a whole. So JLP might be viewed what you would say non-conservative, but they're actually conservative in their practices. The PNP is less conservative, they're more liberal, is as one would say. In terms of, you know, tangible deliverables that the central government of the JLP, who's leading the country, they've done a lot of good things, so I think they'll get brownie points. I think they're trying to canvas is going to be using their ability or prowess or their track record of leading the government on the national scene to kind of propel their local government votes, because it's pretty much at a gridlock. So I think the PNP has six parish councils, which comprises of councillors and a mayor for the parishes respectively, and the JLP has about probably like the remainder of those seats. So they're gonna be looking at trying to get in control, you know, to really move the agenda as to what it is really that they want. Now the political parties have improved their track record in how they do politics. They're being more open and honest, which hasn't always been the case prior. They've said the PNP has said that they will release their finance. Both political parties are going to try to get as much seats, electoral districts, mayors. It's all up for grabs. So everyone's going to try to see if they can get as much as possible, because with a new election, general election looming, depending on how they do with the local government votes, it probably is an indicator how they'll fare well in the general election. PNP has been suffering a little bit in trying to find their groove as to their modus operandi of, okay, what are they about, what they'll be doing. I think they need to get back to the in order to really put themselves forward as a viable candidate. The JLP has been holding on strong for about 2 to 3 consecutive terms. They're really good with the young voters. Their prime minister is the youngest since Jamaica's independence. The other one is a bit, I don't know if that one's born before independence, but he's a bit old. And the younger people want something more inspiring. They want younger people. They want to see the transformation of people that look like the general population in the parliament, that is leading the parliament as a whole, as opposed to just a bunch of old people, which currently is the case, where they're just there and they're not really doing anything at the end of the day. That being said, I think there is a lot of improvement that both parties could do in terms of improving their brand, really reaching out to the young voters, saying, hey, what do you want? Because the vote participation at the last general election was under 50%, which tells you that the general population doesn't think there will be any meaningful change. They need to work on that as a whole. So usually during this time of campaigning, most councillors would be out trying to canvass those last minute votes, trying to get those individuals who are not sure to be on their side. And the way that Jamaicans in particular canvass votes is that they'll have rallies. Like anywhere else they have rallies, but in particular they'll get an artist to do a dub plate. Now a dub plate is basically where the artist makes a song to say, okay, I want this MP to win because he is good, or he makes the thing work, or he has it and he got it. So that in of itself is how those campaigners, MPs, councillors, mayors are going to go. They're going to use the music, they're going to use the current trends to canvas those votes. It's not typical to North American voting, understandably, but it's what works in Jamaica. And Jamaica is the largest English speaking country in the Caribbean, well, in the Greater Antilles specifically. So a lot of eyes will be on this election to see, one, how it's run, what is the outcome, and really to see if there's going to be any transformative change for, I guess, the PNP to really capture on, to say, well, you've seen what the JLP has done. We think we can do a better job. Give us a chance. I do feel that because the PNP does not really have relatively young leaders, young voters may not really move towards that, because it just seems as if it's the same old people in these spots that are not allowing younger, vibrant people to get into leadership in politics. So as a whole, we will be looking at this. We might do something maybe next week to say what happened with the votes, or we might watch it or do a live thing tomorrow on the 26th of February. It just really depends. But all in all, politics in Jamaica can be a bit shaky, simply because there's a lot involved. You have family members who are diehard one party, as like with another party, you know, things could get a bit heated sometimes when it comes to really supporting your candidate, supporting your councillor, your mayor, your party. And so it should be interesting to see what happens at the end of the day. And you know, that's what I have to say primarily about that. Thank you so much for watching this YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And
the fall from, let me straight to the brim. Alright, yeah.